Oh hey, fancy seeing you here. Welcome back to the Maximilian channel, and in this clip I'm going to be taking you through the latest update on my small account challenge. As always, I'm going to be taking you through the MYFXbook stats to see where I got to. I did hit that 50% target last time and I said I wanted to get to 75. Have I done it? Who knows? Stay tuned to find out. So to be completely honest, I can't remember exactly what episode we're on in this series, but obviously this will be the last one where I'm on the live account, because the next step is going to be seeing if I can prove that we can then go on to pass a challenge based on the confidence taken from using this live account, the small live account, to pay for the challenge itself. So there is going to be links up here to the initial episode and also the consequent ones after that. They'll just keep flashing up here whilst I'm speaking. So if you are interested in the overall journey and tracking back to see how we got here, then by all means go through and check those out. But just as a very brief synopsis, basically what I had said to people was, if you're not sure whether you should be taking the challenge or not, or if you're failing a lot of them, take the money that you would have otherwise put in a challenge fee, put it into a live account, trade that within the parameters that you would have on your funded challenge, and then build some profits, and then you can use those profits to pay for the challenge. In the process, improving your confidence, improving your trading ability, and also giving yourself the assurance that you can trade within that capacity. For me, I looked at what the lower costs of a challenges were, because I appreciate that this is going to be targeting everybody, not just people who are taking 100k challenges. So that's why I took £145, because that was roughly the price of the FTMO $10,000 challenge. And then I put it into a live account. My initial goal was to hit 50%. I changed that to 75%. And then what I'm going to be doing is then moving on to the challenge and trying to choose one and then do one. And then I'll carry on filming and vlogging to see if I pass, if I don't. And I'll be going through the good, the bad, the ugly, just as I have with this live account to date. Okay guys, so I'm logged in on MYFXbook on my phone, so I'm going to plonk up the screen here so you can see what I'm looking at when I'm reading through. But as always guys, if you are enjoying this content and you'd like to see more, please just tap that likes up button. It goes a huge way to supporting me, the channel, and also gives the YouTube algorithm a little wink saying, yeah, he's not too bad. Don't mind Maximilian. We'd like to see a few more videos. Anyway, that's cheesy enough. Let's get cracking. I'm going to put it up here and I'm going to talk through the performance. So obviously what we were saying before was, where can I get to, in terms of like what sort of percentage and yada, yada, yada. Basically, I said I wanted to get a bit more than 50, just to show that that wasn't necessarily a fluke or that I'd done something untoward in terms of just reaching that target and whatnot. I said 75. This time around, as you can see, I've got to 73.69, and for me, that's it, I'm done. I don't want to keep on trading this, because the next part of this video is going to be the interesting bit also, is actually now we've done that bit of the hard work, can we then translate that into a challenge, and then can we actually get funded, on one of those small accounts. So as you can see with these stats, this is the final run through. 73.69% was achieved overall. Current balance is 25262. Obviously you can see the equity there is saying 25518. That's just because I forgot I actually had an order triggered on the Hang Seng. So I'm actually in a live trade at the moment, which is running at break even, as in it's at break even stops, but the profits are like whatever that is, like £3 or something like that, £2.70. As you can see, overall the profit is £107 and 2 pence on this. If we scroll across, you can just see the growth chart in terms of where we started back on June 14th to now in July when I'm filming this. As you can see, it's July 19th when I'm filming this, because you can see it on the growth chart. Brilliant. As we move across, you can just see the stats. There are 31 trades that have been taken overall. I've also, click the doodah just so as you can see that there's 71, the win rate, so 71% win rate. This has remained pretty consistent through the entire thing. So it's good to show that over a longer period, and with more trades being closed, that is roughly what I'm achieving at the moment. I think last one it was maybe a bit more, maybe 72-28. But either way you get, I'm winning 22 out of 31 trades up to now and losing 9 out of 31, which I'm pretty chuffed with. If we take a look at the stats that follow from that, again, the average win and the average loss we have to discard, unfortunately, just because I was just basically a complete clown. And almost ruined this entire thing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll have to go back to one of the other episodes, but basically I did something wrong with the lot sizing. And then what we can see as we go through, longs won 70%, shorts won 75%. Pretty good. Usually the other way around for me, and usually shorts are a little bit worse. But anyway, best trade and worst trade we've got to disregard as well, due to the same thing that I've said. The average hold time is 9 hours and 4 minutes. The markets just lately in this last patch have been moving pretty quickly, so I was able to get in and out relatively fast and be able to hit good take profits. Ironically, obviously, just because we're getting further and further away and more trades have come in from that shambolic performance that I put in a few episodes back, the profit factor has nipped up to 2.4. But obviously before I had that mistake, the profit factor was at like 10, and that's probably more indicative of the types of trades we were taking. You know, that's pretty much it. Obviously, I've now just put in the monthly analytics, the 2021 analytics for this account. So that's June and July. Obviously, that's what we've been trading. So that was 31.69% made in June, as you've seen in the previous videos. And now on July, I'm on 31.89% as things stand. But I won't be trading anymore on this account. Well, I say this, obviously, I've got the Hang Seng trade open. If that hits take profit, great. If it doesn't, it'll hit break even, so what? But that'll be it. So that has given you sort of a run through in terms of those. And this will also be the last trade breakdown in reference to this as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one of these trades that I had taken recently within this last patch. I'm going to share the screen with you. I'm going to talk you through exactly what I was thinking about with that, you know, the rationale behind it and how it came about. And then I'll catch up with you after that. Okay, so here we are, guys. We're going to be taking through or running through this trade on the Dow, and this was, you know, a very recent one, and we just come off of, you know, quite a steep short off of this area. And as we're looking left, that was obviously, it was a very key level in terms of, you know, where we're at with the Dow. Even if we scale back quite some time, this level was created just here. So this was that short opportunity that we had taken prior to that. As this is coming down, though, often what you find, like with this, is that you need to be looking for waiting for some sort of correction. So with this, it's come down. We've got the consolidation patch, likely that it would do some sort of V correction consolidation and maybe shoot on its way back up at some point. So the key thing that I'm looking for here is just seeing, you know, where the price actually bottoms out. Obviously, we've got areas around here that it could be relevant. We've got areas that are down here towards this level that could be relevant. You know, it could supersede that. Could come even, you know, further down. Doesn't really bother me at this stage. Really what I'm looking for is just trying to get an understanding of the levels that, you know, I've drawn in, and from how I've taken trades previously, I'll be looking at seeing, you know, what the price does and how it behaves. Here you can see, you know, it's pretty much a free fall from this point. So we've got the small consolidation before here. We've got a long sort of sheer drop from this point. Still no signs of really reversing. It's gone tearing straight through these levels, but we do this as the first sign of you know, sort of a proper rejection wick after this massive free fall. What I'm looking to see here is, like, how does this price behave? So as you can see, like, you know, when I'm taking a look at this chart, what I need to look at is, okay, where do I think that there is sort of relative price action to where I'd be looking to take entries? Now, as you can see, like in this area, this seems to be a bit of like a bit of a free zone in terms of, like, whenever price is in it, it's either shot up or shot down relatively quickly. And these areas as well, if we take a look back at the previous price action, we can see that this sort of stemmed itself as that sort of drop, consolidation, V correction, so on and so forth. So this level in itself, you know, like is, you know, this and around here, if the price only tipped beneath and then is going to go straight back up, this would be looking as a decent level of support, because that's kind of been a good area for this as a price in terms of showing, like, the separation between these over corrections. So for me, what I'm looking at here is, will this level prove to be any good? If not, what I'm looking for is seeing if the price gets down into around these levels where we've had previous consolidation. I'd be interested to see, you know, what sort of candle activity we're getting, or are we likely just to see something very similar here where we just get even more of a drop? My thinking would be maybe less so, because this was much more constructive on the way down, and then we got that drop here. With this was straight off the bat was just a massive tank. So I would imagine that unless it were to be a worse drop than this one, it would sort of lose some steam either around here or around here. So that's really what I'm looking for on this particular trade. But I'm not interested in trying to, you know, catch a falling knife on it or anything. There's no, you know, steady level there where I'd go, okay, well, this is definitely a reaction, like I would have said, you know, with this one up here, for example. So as we sort of carry on, still goes a bit lower. So for me, yeah, it hasn't really shown anything to warrant me getting into trades or out of trades. This now shows this sort of engulfing candle that has just taken out basically 4 hours worth of downward movement here has been taken out in one, which shows that there's probably some, you know, some form of pushback. As you can see here, I mean, this is quite a conclusive sort of return. Now, you could argue that this came down, it would be a retest and go down. But for me, when I'm looking at the bigger picture of this, when we're looking out on the 4 hour, what I'm seeing is more of a, you know, like a general channel, if you like. And you know, with this, I'm seeing this as much more of, you know, of a bullish trend. This was an overcorrection, so I'm looking for this to be corrected again up to this point, and then we'll see what happens from there. So my overall bias in and around these areas is looking to get a long rather than a continuation short, purely because the downside, although you could argue this was a big one, often, you know, it's very difficult to predict where you would target, you know, a momentum drop down to. So for me, I'm looking for bull moves. I've already identified this level around here in terms of like this was the level that was providing its resistance or support before we had this massive correction there. So ideally what I'd be looking for is some sort of element where this price were to come hover back up and come down and show me some reaction to this level around here. As things stand, not, you know, it does push through, it's sort of hovering around, there's not a great deal of price action to deal with. Now we get real sort of, this is the first point where I'd say it's conclusively gone above this line, and it's also coming off of this bullish momentum, and it's now coming out of this correction here. So this is essentially maybe the drop consolidation. This is ending up going to be sort of the V correction that we're going to see, similar to how we saw, you know, in this piece of price action here, but it's just happening higher up, because this is quite a common play in the Dow in terms of what you'll often see, especially when you get these sort of flash drops and things like this. So now what I'm looking for is looking, okay, where can I, you know, look, where can I take an entry that's going to be in and around here if I see the price tapering back off. Still in an uptrend at this point, so I'm not really that interested. And then we get that drop that comes back down. Now, when I was actually taking this trade, I was actually down to 15. Also, I'm trying to do this so as you see it, sort of, you know, how I would have seen it. But essentially, my entry was set up because there was a couple of 15-minute candles that showed that sort of drop off at this point. So the long position that I had taken in was pretty much just on this level. And then what I'm looking for in terms of taking the stop is looking at where's a logical point of that stop, you know, based on the momentum that I'm looking to take. So I'm looking to cover next to that wick on the left, you know, just sort of just a tad below, something along those lines. Initially targeting here at 7.69R. Obviously we've got scope to go higher here and then higher here again. But the initial target would be sort of in and around that level. So what happens is we get tagged in on that just. Goes into a little bit of drawdown, which isn't too much to be concerned about. Obviously, as we can see there, that, you know, that's the reason why I was covering that wick. Hovers around, comes back up a bit, gets right up towards the top of that take profit level, but doesn't quite tag me. And then what happens here is we get this sort of ensue where we're sort of hovering around and it's going back down. Now, if we're taking a look at the time here, this is at sort of, you know, sort of around, you know, 10 a.m. or so on and so forth. I mean, like it's basically coming now. The London Open's driven that, and then now it's sort of tapering back off, which is quite conventional with the London Open. We get sort of this hovering around. Obviously, the big concern is going to be the US Open. It comes down again, comes back down towards that entry point as US opens, and then it springboards and heads to take profit. So in this example, you know, it was you know, like a decent enough trade for me in terms of what I was taking, and it planed out, you know, as you would hope. And obviously what we're looking for is much more sort of upward momentum in terms of trying to, you know, get to this point where there's a bit of support to compete this correction, then head back up to that level. But that's pretty much it. So I'm going to switch across back to me now, and we'll wrap up the video. Okay, cool. So there you go, guys. That was the trade breakdown. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got something from it, and I hope you've enjoyed these updates actually going through. I think this is episode 5 or 6, I can't exactly remember. Me going through all of this on the live account and running through it in accordance with MYFXbook and so on and so forth. Just so as you've got an idea, and you know, at the end of the day, this was advice, and I was hoping maybe this would inspire some people, or at least show that, you know, just because you've got a small amount, you can't just not trade it in a live account. You know, like you know, I had to do some research, and obviously I had to find the broker. The link to the broker is obviously in the description below. But you know, at the end of the day, hopefully people can take something from this and go, well, do you know what, at least I could pay 75% towards or 50% towards or whatever. Now I appreciate that the figures that I'd set myself I've achieved quite quickly. I have also been trading a long time, and you know, it has been a very buoyant market for the instruments that I'm trading. That wasn't, you know, I didn't know how long it was going to take, and it could be that you only look to make 10% or 20%, just enough to prove that you can do the challenge and fall within the parameters. Either way you look at it, I still think it's a good exercise, and this therefore has shown it to be at least fruitful, if nothing else. Even if the challenge has failed, at least you're losing less money because you've got much more of your initial principles still intact. So next episode we're going to be moving on to me choosing a challenge, actually firing it up, giving a sort of a bit of a feedback in terms of how I found it, and then looking at the stats once I start that challenge to see if I can pass the first stage. So if you have enjoyed this one, guys, as always, hit that likes up button, subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you've got the alerts turned on so you don't miss when I post that next video. If you do want to ask me anything, put it in the comment section below, or head across to my Instagram at @matamillion, where I do try and get through most of my DMs, and I do post a weekly Q&A plus daily live updates on trades, analysis, so on and so forth. But if I don't speak to you before, have a cracking week. Catch you on the next video. Take it easy.